I'm ready when you are.
All righty then. I think we can go.
That's right. Well, what?
What?
That's right. That's right. You're listening to, oh my God.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there is Brandon. We're getting a little punchy here.
That's me.
That's him. You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. We also release a show every Monday on YouTube at youtube.com/@namely90s. And if you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/namely90s and sign up for one of our support levels. Wow, it's too late. We don't usually start recording anything at 11.
Yeah, like maybe once.
I'm going to talk fast.
Talk fast. Dead silence.
Anyway.
4th of July is tomorrow? Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
Are you doing anything for the 4th? Or you're gonna be away from fam?
No, I'm actually gonna be home. I'm home for my anniversary and the 4th of July.
Nice.
But
Your
no, we don't do much. I mean, we might do like a
Sunday.
couple little fireworks or something. Yeah, the 2nd. I might do a little bit of fireworks or something, and I don't know, maybe just hang out with the kids, maybe go to my parents. Who knows? See what the day holds.
Do you ever go to the like Boomtown or anything? Pick up some fireworks for yourself and shoot them off, annoy your neighbors?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go there. There's probably a lot more we could do than just annoy them. Like
burn
some an M80 in the mailbox or something. That's a federal crime, actually.
Is it? Oh, good to know. Oh, because it's a mailbox, yeah. And it's technically the mail. Yeah. What do I do if the mailbox is slowly coming off of the mail post? Or, yeah, the post that it's on?
You go down to the post office and get a new one?
They don't send a man out for that?
No, it's a joke. Post office. He's going to kill me.
Yes. I'm going to put an M80 in your mailbox.
Oh, I bet you are.
And remove the word mail from that. Or switch it out for a different one.
Yeah, so, well, cool. And you're doing your usual heading up to the coast, sort of heading over and up to the coast, do your usual thing? Yep.
No, it's to stay in the haunted mansion in Eureka and then drive up on some driving up Friday. Should be up there Saturday. And I just realized everyone's going to be driving up Friday and or Saturday. It's
by the way,
so fun.
You know what I bet is an advertising campaign for their like tourism board for Eureka?
What's that?
What's your Eureka moment?
I mean, it would
it's better than Wash Your Hansington.
Seriously?
That wasn't for tourism. That was just a thing for washing hands.
I feel like
you don't remember Wash Your Hansington?
Well, I didn't live in Washington.
No, it was when you lived here.
Oh, I thought that was like a pandemic thing.
No, they brought it back.
I do not remember Wash Your Hansington. Like I remember we had the yuck stickers. Like they gave us that in school, elementary school, and then I put it on everything. Mr. Yuck, the green circular sticker. That was the
okay. Wash Your Hansington was from like 2010. So yeah, you're right. You were
not living there.
Not living there, but still.
I technically was still a Washington resident at the time. But But yes. No, I do not remember Wash Your Handsington.
Yeah, that's still a thing. You can go online and look it up.
That sounds terrible.
It was.
I don't know. Is terrible the right word? Terrible's the right word.
It's trash.
Brows are huge. Yeah. Should be fun. See family. And yeah.
Be a cracking good time.
Cracking good time with you. We'll set off some fireworks, do a little grilling, go to the cheese factory.
Do a little chilling, do a little grilling.
Yeah, come out, have some drinks, have a good time.
Laughs.
Yeah.
Come out to the coast.
Do a Die Hard, maybe. I like to bring my lightsabers up, and the niece and nephew play with them on the beach at night. It's fun. Lightsabers.
Cool. Yeah, we don't do it. It's yeah, I don't know.
Patriotism.
Yeah, I still can't get over the guy who had like the Bluey t-shirt on, but it was like a third party Bluey t-shirt where Bluey's wearing like a flak jacket and has a bazooka.
I mean, are you sure that's not like a first party Australian?
I don't think that it is. This is the kid's show.
From Australia and or New
Australia.
Zealand, where they are very into being conservative. Right? Aussies?
Yeah, true.
I mean,
I don't know.
It clearly was not. It was a third party mocking shirt. Pretty easy to make two-dimensional things carry weapons for some reason.
It's also easy for three-dimensional things to carry weapons in this country.
Yes.
AKA people.
Whoa, mind blown.
Yeah, one of my friends, I was visiting him in Sacramento, and his significant other was like, she's a teacher, and she just was saying how it's not like super rewarding and like pay's not good. And I'm just like, plus you could just get gunned down at any time. And she was like, that's true. Like she told me they don't really have a active shooter preparedness plan in her school. And I was just like, and she was just like, yeah. Can you believe that in this day and age?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Especially in California.
Oh, just head over to the Capitol and you'll be safe there. Oh. I like to reference things that are over 1 year old.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost to the next election.
True.
Over halfway, I think. Speaking of idiots. No, not that one.
2 years. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this one to you offline, but there was like, I ran across a post that's like a bunch of like, it was just a stupid conspiracy nut that was like posting actual facts about things like Donald Trump has more not security, what are they called? Secret Service around him than the quote unquote real president. So clearly that means
several of those are U.S. Marshals.
Yeah.
Right. In case you're wondering.
Yeah.
They're law enforcement. They're here. They're for him to get him.
Yeah. And it was just like, and then there were two other like just stupid things that are factually true, but like connecting the dots from like one side of the planet to the other and being like, that's why number 45 is still president. The
problem is the Secret Service can't protect Joe Biden from just being plain old. Yeah. Like that's the biggest threat to his life right now. It's just being ancient.
Now listen here, Jack. Have you heard about this thing? Like I think it's on YouTube, they'll have AI Donald Trump and AI Joe Biden do like video commentary, like they're streamers or YouTubers. I haven't watched like a thing, but I've seen some clips and it's kind of funny. They're like, it's like, it would be like Trump, Biden, and Obama like playing Fortnite or something, and they use like all the AI voices for it, and it's semi-entertaining. It might be it's not a good use of AI for any reason, but whoever thought of that, beat everyone else to the punch, I guess. So good on you. Why can't we think of anything creative?
We don't. No, it's bad.
Yeah. We're always following the trends, not making them. So pity party.
Yeah. So anything else?
No, it's 9 minutes.
Okay.
Might as well just roll the dice and get crazy.
Yeah. Let's get crazy.
Let's get it started in hot. Let's get it started in air.
Yeah, well, this week we're doing a deep dive, and feels prudent. We're going to talk about the life and career of Harrison Ford, and we're going to talk about The Fugitive, which makes sense because right now Indiana Jones is out.
It belongs in a museum.
So why are we talking about The Fugitive? Well,
because that's the only 90s Harrison Ford movie that Andrew likes.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a little Wikipedia-y, but I did cut out certain sections, and it's a long Wikipedia page.
Oh, yeah. I had to go on it for last week's Namely 90s Minute.
We're here so that you don't have to read the Wikipedia. We basically boil Wikipedia down to something you can listen to.
And if you don't feel like listening to Wikipedia or reading the Wikipedia or hearing about anything with Wikipedia, we have other episodes.
Yeah,
we
true.
have 160 other episodes.
All right, kidding. So let's
Thank you for listening.
Into it.
I just wanted to say my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny will not be for another 2 weeks, just because of travel and such. So I did see it last Thursday, but aside from maybe our Twitter has some semblance of a review on it, look forward to that in 2 episodes.
All right, let's get into it. So, Harrison Ford doesn't have a middle name, by the way.
Really?
At one point, he was credited as Harrison J. Ford. He just made the J up because there was another Harrison Ford that was like an actor prior to him.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no, union, or what is it called?
SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah. Anyway, there was no name restrictions, but he was born on July 13th, 1942. So it's actually not just the anniversary of The Fugitive, but of his birth.
Wow.
Next week.
I didn't know he was born on the 4th of July.
13th.
I was not listening.
We're coming close to his birth anniversary, as I call it. To parents, former radio actress Dorothy, and then it says in parentheses, Nee Neidelman. So that must be her actual name.
Isn't it Nay?
Okay. And advertising executive and former actor John William Christopher Ford. Why do you need 3 names? Why is Christopher your nickname if your name is John William? I don't know.
Any relation to Henry?
No, I don't think so. He had a younger brother named Terrence who was born in 1945 and was presumably not very famous, if at all. Ford was a Boy Scout, achieving the 2nd highest rank of Life Scout. Didn't know that was a rank. He worked at the Napawan Adventure Base Scout Camp as a counselor for the Reptile Study Merit Badge. But that's interesting because that is the reason that he and director Steven Spielberg later decided to depict young Indiana Jones as a Life Scout in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade in 1989.
Oh,
you didn't know that.
As the child version of him, like the teen version of him on the train?
I believe so.
Cool.
He graduated in 1960 from the Maine East High School, which is in Park Ridge, Illinois. It's not in Maine, just so you know. Weird, right? A self-described late bloomer, Ford took a drama class in the final quarter of his senior year to get over his shyness and become fascinated with acting. You were taking a class to become fascinated with the subject matter? It seems like BS, like the way they wrote it.
I think you're just reading it.
Oh, I read it wrong.
Yeah.
I thought it said, and to become fascinated. It says, and became fascinated. Okay, gotcha. Well, I need to go back to rudimentary reading classes.
It is late.
I don't have a reading disability. I just am struggling. Anyway, so some stuff happened. He eventually then traveled to Los Angeles. One thing led to another. That's your way out of any storytelling. He applied for a job in radio voiceovers, which he did not get, but he signed a contract with Columbia Pictures talent program at $150 a week, and he would get bit roles in films. The first known role, which was uncredited, was as a bellhop in Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round in 1966. You've seen that, right?
Oh, yeah. Such a classic with James Coburn and other people.
Not happy with the roles offered to him, Ford became a self-taught professional carpenter to support his then-wife and 2 young sons. At one point, he appeared in the documentary Joan Didion, The Center Will Not Hold. Couldn't tell you a darn thing about who that is or what that's about. But he and his wife became friends of the writers, and the casting director and fledgling producer Fred Roos championed the young Ford and secured him an audition with George Lucas for the role of Bob Falfa, which Ford went on to play in American Graffiti in 1973, which is his first major role, I believe, of any kind.
I think so. That's
credited.
Yeah. I mean...
Not starring, but credited.
I mean, didn't he... No, Opie starred in that. Yeah.
So his work in that movie led to him getting his first starring role. When Lucas hired him to read lines for actors auditioning for roles in the upcoming epic space opera film Star Trek. No, just kidding. Star Wars. Lucas was eventually won over by Ford's performance during these line reads and cast him as Han Solo. Star Wars became one of the most successful and groundbreaking films of all time and brought Ford and his co-stars Hamill and Fisher widespread recognition. True. I didn't really realize it was his first thing, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, American Graffiti.
First major like starring thing.
Gotcha.
He returned to star in the successful Star Wars sequels The Empire Strikes Back in 1980 and The Return of the Jedi Return of the Jedi, in 1983.
He was in Apocalypse Now? Sorry.
Yes. Ford actually wanted Lucas to kill off Han Solo at the end of Return of the Jedi, but Lucas said, no, thank you.
Yeah. I think he wanted him to die in Empire Strikes Back, honestly.
So his status as a leading actor was solidified with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was released in 1981. As we all know, it's an action-adventure collaboration between George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, which gave Ford his second franchise role as the heroic globetrotting archaeologist Indiana Jones. This film was also massively successful, becoming the highest-grossing film of the year. Spielberg was interested in casting Ford from the beginning, but Lucas was not, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, his last 2 major films was Harrison Ford was in it. So
yeah, exactly. But Lucas relented after Tom Selleck's mustache was unable to accept. Okay, I editorialized that a little bit, but
I mean, what were you editorializing? He would have had to shave the mustache off for Indiana Jones.
Ford went on to reprise the role throughout the rest of the decade in the prequel Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and the sequel Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yay.
During the 1983 filming of Temple of Doom in London, Ford herniated a disc in his back.
Mm-hmm.
He was 40 at the time and he had to fly back to LA for surgery and return 6 weeks later, which is not bad.
So most of the stunts done in Temple of Doom is his body double.
Right.
Stunt guy.
In the 90s, that's our wheelhouse, Ford became the second actor to portray Jack Ryan in 2 films of the film series based on the literary character created by Tom Clancy.
You skipped Blade Runner?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Fine.
He was in Blade Runner, though.
Yeah. He was the star of Blade Runner.
So he took over the role from Alec Baldwin.
Yep.
Who had played Ryan in Hunt for Red October, but this apparently led to a long-lasting resentment from Baldwin, who said he wanted the role back, but Ford had negotiated for it behind his back. But I feel like Baldwin wasn't trying hard enough then.
I feel like they were 2 very different versions of Jack Ryan.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough.
Oh, they both were cheating.
Ford played leading roles in other action-based thrillers throughout the decade, such as The Fugitive in 1993, Air Force One in 1997. For his performance in The Fugitive, co-starring Tommy Lee Jones, he received some of the best reviews of his career, including from known bad review giver Roger Ebert, who concluded that Ford is once again the great modern movie everyman. As an actor, nothing he does seems merely for show. In the face of this melodramatic material, he deliberately plays down, lays low, gets on with business instead of trying to exploit the drama in the meaningless acting flourishes. More to come on The Fugitive after the break. This is a cool stat. From 1977 to 1997, a 20-year period, Ford appeared in 14 films that reached the top 15 in the yearly domestic box office rankings, 12 of which reached the top 10. 6 of the films he appeared in during this time were nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture, among other awards, including Star Wars, Apocalypse Now, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Witness, Working Girl, and The Fugitive.
The Fugitive.
It starts to go downhill a little bit. So in the 1990s, he started appearing in several critically derided and or commercially disappointing films. But I mean, when you've had that much success, you're bound to hit a slump. Including such movies that I've never heard of as 6 Days, 7 Nights.
I like that one.
Random Hearts. You liked it?
Yeah, Anne Heche is in it. It's like kind of like the Bleeding Stone, or what is it called?
K-19, The Widowmaker. Hollywood Homicide, which I kind of liked, even though it's just awful. That's the one with like Josh Hartnett in it.
Oh, yeah.
Firewall, Extraordinary Measures. The only one that did okay was What Lies Beneath, which did well. And I remember that movie. It was like kind of a horror thing, maybe.
A supernatural horror thriller film by Robert Zemeckis of Back to the Future direction.
Oh, there you go. That's why I probably did okay. In 2004, Ford declined a chance to star in the thriller Syriana, later commenting that I didn't feel strongly enough about the truth of the material, and I think I made a mistake. The role went to George Clooney, who won an Oscar and a Golden Globe for his work.
Yeah.
I think Clooney may have been the guy, though.
Well, Clooney, Damon, Jeffrey Wright's in it, William Hurt. It's a good.
Never seen it.
Same.
Let's see. In 2008, he enjoyed success with the release of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Boo.
In quotes. The first Indiana Jones film done in 19 years, and another collaboration with Lucas and Spielberg. The film received generally positive reviews, except for the scenes containing Shia LaBeouf, and was the second highest grossing film worldwide in 2008. Ford said he would like to star in another sequel if it didn't take another 20 years to digest. So it just took 15.
15, yeah.
Instead of 19. Other work in 2008 included Crossing Over. He plays a ICE Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent, working alongside Ashley Judd and Ray Liotta. Rip to the max.
Rip to the max.
To Ashley Judd. No, I'm kidding. And I did not know this. In 2011, he starred alongside Daniel Craig and Olivia Wilde in the science fiction Western hybrid film Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens.
To promote the film, he appeared at the San Diego Comic-Con and apparently was surprised by the warm welcome and told the audience, I just wanted to make a living as an actor. I didn't know about this. I just wanted to make a living as an actor. I didn't know about this.
And he punches someone and then walks away. And then flies
Where's my family?
Flies a plane into Petco Park.
He's been in some other stuff. Paranoia with Liam Hemsworth, Gary Oldman, who he'd worked with in Air Force One as the villain, I believe. Ender's Game, 42, Anchorman 2. He plays Branch Rickey in the film 42, which I've never heard of, and got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. So still relevant, even in 2013.
42 is the Jackie Robinson movie.
Oh, that's right. Shoot. Why couldn't I remember that?
Ender's Game is based off of the book.
That's perfect. They give the nomination to a white actor in the film 42. He reprised his role as Han Solo in the long-awaited Star Wars sequel, Star Wars The Force Awakens. And was highly successful also, like its predecessors. Once again, he hurt himself. On June 11, 2014, he fractured his ankle when a door fell on him. He was taken to the hospital.
What? Oh, was that on the Force Awakens set?
I think so.
Yeah.
Apparently, by the way,
Falcon.
Apparently he crashed a plane at some point and lived through that fairly recently.
Yes. That was around the Star Wars time too.
Anyway, so He recovered. He was killed off during the movie. Spoiler alert. He reprised his role in an uncredited appearance as a Vision in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. In February 2015, it was announced he would reprise his role as Rick Deckard in Blade Runner 2049. It was very well received as far as his performance. Someone important called it a deep, rich, smart film. And yeah.
Sorry,
so anyway.
that man works for IGN. I don't know if that's important.
Ew. Ford then reprised the role of Indiana Jones in The Dial of Destiny in 2023, which he has said will be his last appearance as the character. Yeah, because if it's another 15 years from now, he's going to be like 103 or something.
If we're lucky.
Yeah. And in October of 2022, he was cast as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in the 2024 films Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts, set in the MCU, replacing William Hurt, who played the character in previous MCU
Rip
films.
To the max. William Hurt.
That's gotta hurt.
Did you just accent that by turning off your AC?
Yeah, my mic drop was the AC remote.
And now my Siri's gone on, so I can't hear you. Stop it, Siri. Go away.
And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan's final season starting on Amazon Prime, we're looking back at the first Jack Ryan adaptation, The Hunt for Red October. The Hunt for Red October is a 1990 submarine spy thriller starring James Bond #1, Jack from 30 Rock, Stick from the Netflix Daredevil series, Darth Vader, Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park, the concierge from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Dr. Eric Selvig from the Thor movies, the air traffic flight director from Die Hard 2, the Reverend from A Preacher's Wife, and Dr. Beverly Crusher from Star Trek The Next Generation. The story begins as the Spaniard from Highlander is given a Typhoon-class Soviet submarine with a Caterpillar drive, which makes the submarine undetectable to passive sonar. While heading out to run drills, he kills their political officer and diverts the submarine to the east coast of the United States, losing its American shadow, the USS Dallas, with the Caterpillar drive. CIA analyst and former Marine, the narrator from the Royal Tannenbaums, briefs US government officials on the Red October threat and learns the bulk of the Soviet Navy has been deployed to find and sink it, thinking the rogue sub is planning on launching a nuclear strike on the US. But instead they figure out that Indiana Jones's dad is attempting to defect to the US. Boss Baby is given 3 days to figure out if it is true and is sent to the Dallas to try and make contact with Red October. Meanwhile, the Soviet ambassador reaches out to the US and tells them that the submarine's commander has gone rogue and requests their help in sinking it. So the US subs, including the Dallas, get an order to do so. But SNL Trump convinces their captain to make contact with the Red October, which became detectable due to a saboteur on board. Red October stages a fake meltdown so it surfaces and all hands that aren't defecting abandon ship. Then the commander of the Dallas, their sonar operator, and the departed get on board when the Red October dives again. It then gets ambushed by the Soviet submarine Konovalov. Meanwhile, it's revealed the cook on the Red October is an undercover Soviet operative and shoots up the bridge and tries to ignite a missile himself in the missile bay, but gets stopped by the Rise of the Guardians and the Rock. The Red October outmaneuvers the Konovalov with the help of the Dallas and her commander, and sink it, with the Soviets on the surface believing that their captain took one for the team and went down with the Red October after seeing an explosion. With their subterfuge complete, pun intended, they navigate to Maine, where the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen admits he thinks the Red October was intended for a preemptive nuclear strike against the US and didn't want to support that. Finally, It's Complicated boards a plane for London with a teddy bear for his daughter. And that's The Hunt for Red October in the Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
And now back to the show. Well, since we've covered Harrison Ford, and since he's in the news right now, in the entertainment sphere with this new Indiana Jones movie,
we're going to do that one time that he showed up in an episode of Indiana Jones, the Young Indiana Jones Adventures.
No, we're not. That's your Name in the 90s Minute, probably, but
that was last week's Name in the 90s Minute. So we're going to talk about The Fugitive, and I don't like a ton of movies. I like this movie. I think it's a fun movie. I think it's well done. So it was released in 1993. It's an American action thriller film based on the 1960s television series of the same name. It was directed by Andrew Davis, who is that someone we know? Is that a famous person? I don't think so. He's Code of Silence, Above Law, Under Siege, The Fugitive.
Okay. But it stars Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones, Celia Ward, Joe Pantaleano, Andreas Katsulas, and Jaron Krabbe. Notable other stars include Julianne Moore and Jane Lynch.
Oh,
kind of fun. Man.
Jane Lynch from
Glee, ultimately.
Why do I not? I did a Namely 90s Minute on this, I think. I know these people.
After being framed for the murder of his wife and sentenced to death, Dr. Richard Kimball, portrayed by Ford, escapes from custody.
Shoot my wife.
Following a bus crash, and sets out to find the real killer and find his name while being hunted by the police and a team of U.S. Marshals. The Fugitive premiered in Westwood, which I don't know what that is. Is that a place? Is it a festival? Is it both?
Westwood, California?
That's the middle of nowhere. On July 29th, 1993, and was released in the U.S. on August 6th, 1993, and also Sweden for some reason. So now I will read you the plot. I'm going to try to go through this relatively quickly, but I'm going to read it.
Westwood Village in Los Angeles.
Chicago vascular surgeon Dr. Richard Kimball returns home to discover his wife, Helen, has been fatally wounded by a one-armed assailant. Despite his efforts, the attacker evades capture. Kimball's account of events is dismissed due to the absence of forced entry and Helen's substantial life insurance policy and a misinterpreted 911 call where she could be heard crying out for him to help her. Instead, it is mistaken for her naming him as the attacker. Consequently, he is falsely accused of murder, convicted, and receives a death sentence. On his way to death row, Kimball's fellow prisoners attempt an escape. One prisoner fakes choking and starts to foam at the mouth. In the unrest, the driver and 2 prisoners are killed, sending the bus down a ravine into the path of an oncoming train. Kimball saves a guard and escapes the collision. Another prison guard flees the scene and after not wanting to assist Kimball in getting himself safely off the train. 90 minutes later, U.S. Deputy Marshal Samuel Gerard, portrayed by Tommy Lee Jones, and his staff arrive at the derailment scene and launch a manhunt after the police leave him to it. Kimball crawls through woodland and steals clothing from a mechanic. He then goes to a nearby hospital and takes good from a patient?
What?
It says takes good from a patient. Goods? Anyway, he tends to his wounds and then alters his appearance by shaving his beard, at which point he steals an ambulance. He's just committing felony after felony and almost gets caught in a tunnel but evades the marshal by slipping into a storm drain.
What I want from each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse, and doghouse in that area.
Perfect casting. Eventually cornered by Gerard, Kimball proclaims his innocence, and he insists he doesn't care if he's innocent or not because he's just trying to get him back to jail. I mean, his crime now is escaping.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
Kimball turns around and jumps off a spillway over a dam, escaping, which is clearly just a dummy that's thrown off.
Yes.
It's got like horrible ragdoll physics. It just drops like a brick.
It's like the clip from Mac and Me that Paul Rudd always shows on when he goes and promotes Move.
Gerard looks over, amazed at the sheer drop as the other marshals gather around in shock. Kimball returns to Chicago, having survived this miraculously, where he further alters his appearance by dyeing his hair a different color. Determined to find the true killer who murdered his wife, he acquires money from his friend Dr. Charles Nichols, who offers to help him as well. This is the worst written Wikipedia article I've ever seen. Just missing things. Kimball refuses the help, pointing out that the U.S. Marshals and police are probably close by watching it. He assumes the identity of a janitor to infiltrate the prosthetic department at Cook County Hospital to make a list of patients matching the killer. In the meantime, he changes the medical instructions for a misdiagnosed trauma patient, thus saving a young boy's life. His cover is blown and he flees the building when a doctor becomes suspicious and alerts the authorities.
I didn't kill my wife.
Gerard suspects that Kimball is searching for the one-armed man and spots him at Chicago City Hall after interviewing a jailed suspect. After an intense chase, Kimball disappears into Chicago's St. Patrick's Day parade. Later, he breaks into the home of another suspect on his list, Frederick Sykes, and discovers a photo that confirms Sykes is the killer. Sykes is a former cop who now works security for Devlin McGregor, a pharmaceutical company that is releasing a new drug called Provasic. Kimball had researched and investigated the drug and found that it causes liver damage, which would have prevented FDA approval because they wouldn't have just found out later anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He figures out that Dr. Nichols, a board member of Devlin McGregor, covered up the perilous side of the drug and replaced infected samples by intact ones. Sorry. Did I say side effects?
You said perilous side of the drug.
Oh, yeah. He further ordered Sykes to kill him in a staged burglary that went wrong, resulting in Helen's death. And another person was killed as well in relation. Anyway, Kimball calls Gerard with the new information and then conducts his own investigation. Leads to a hotel conference where Nichols is presenting the drug, but on his way there, he's attacked by Sykes on a train. In the struggle, Sykes kills a transit cop, and Kimball overpowers him and handcuffs him to a pole.
Wait, is Sykes the
one-armed guy?
But that's not the janitor from Scrubs, so someone else.
No, he's not in this, I don't think.
Well, he's in this. Neil Flynn's the transit cop.
Oh yeah, he just gets killed
on the subway. Yeah,
okay. You're right. We're almost there. Kimball publicly confronts Nichols at the conference, where Nichols pretends that Kimball is mentally unstable. This leads to a fight that spills onto the roof. They crash through a skylight onto a descending elevator. A shoot-to-kill order is issued for Kimball as the transit police officer's death is assumed to be his fault.
And if that doesn't say he's sane, having a fight on the rooftop where you eventually fall through the roof into the next building.
However, Gerard stops a police helicopter from sniping Kimball, which means he kind of thinks it's not him. Nichols regains consciousness and tries to escape through a laundry room, but Kimball follows him. Gerard and his colleague Cosmo Renfro follow closely behind, and Gerard calls out Kimball, informing him of the conspiracy and his belief in Kimball's innocence. Nichols knocks out Renfro, takes his gun, and tries to shoot Gerard, but Kimball saves him by attacking Nichols from behind. Kimball surrenders while Sykes and Nichols are arrested. He's escorted out of the hotel as the press questions the police about the newly found suspects, indicating his innocence. Gerard uncuffs Kimball and offers him an ice pack in the back of a squad car. Kimball looks at him surprised that he cared about the pain Kimball was in due to the tightly placed handcuffs. Gerard laughs and says, "Don't tell anyone." They are driven away into the night, with Kimball's exoneration assured. Really, it's a story of vindication.
And that's The Fugitive in the Namely 90s 15 minutes.
Oh my God, yeah, sorry. It was wordier than I thought, and also there were a lot of typos, more or less. All right. Basically, you should watch the movie if you haven't seen it.
It's really a good movie, yeah.
Harrison Ford, I always like the casting stuff, because I always like to think about who else could have been cast. So he was not originally cast for the role of Dr. Richard Kimball. Instead, a number of actors were auditioned for the part, including his old nemesis, Alec Baldwin, Nick Nolte, Kevin Costner, and Michael Douglas. I could have watched it with any of them, but...
As Harrison Ford, like Nick Nolte, maybe like as the unshaved Harrison Ford part of the movie. Kevin Costner as like the frantic trying to escape part of the movie. Michael Douglas as the doctor. But yeah, I think Harrison Ford runs the gamut on these people. Plus, he is just the better Jack Ryan.
Let's see. According to Ford, a 2023 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he pursued the role of Richard Kimball due to his liking to play characters who aren't like him, in addition to his desire to grow a beard or a mustache for a role.
This came into play last week's Namely 90s Minute, because that's the episode that Harrison Ford appeared in of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, or the Young Indiana Jones Adventures, was because he was shooting The Fugitive at the time. So he couldn't shave his beard.
Right.
So Indiana Jones, 50-year-old Indiana Jones had a beard.
Sam Gerard went to Tommy Lee Jones, but Gene Hackman and John Voight were both considered for the role. That would have been okay. Let's see here.
Tommy Lee Jones brings that Southern.
It's perfect. I love Tommy Lee Jones and stuff. Some interesting stuff about the filming. The prison transport bus and freight train wreck scenes were filmed along the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad just outside of their depot in Dillsboro. The wreckage can still be seen from the railroad's excursion trains. The train crash, which cost $1 million to film, was shot in a single take using a real train with a locomotive whose engine had been removed. The wreck took several weeks to plan and was preceded by several test runs with a boxcar and log car. You always think that's going to be miniatures, right?
Yeah.
No, it's real. It's intense.
Full boxcar, and yeah.
And when you watch it, it's like cooler when you know that,
And it's also why there were no Boxcar Children books after 1993.
Scenes in the hospital were filmed actually at Harris Regional Hospital in North Carolina, and the Cheoah Dam in Deals Gap was the location of the scene in which Kimball jumps from the train. The rest of the film was shot in Chicago on Ford's suggestion, which is kind of funny, including some of the dam scenes which were filmed in the remains of the Chicago freight tunnels. Yeah, pretty cool. And the chase scene, which occurred during the St. Patrick's Day parade, was filmed during the actual parade held that year on Wednesday, March 17th, 1993, with the then Mayor Richard Daley and Illinois Attorney General Roland Burris briefly seen as actual participants.
They get serious. They turn the river green.
Besides The Fugitive, another feature film, Michael Apted's Blink, was filmed during the same parade at the same time. That's weird.
That'd be cool if you could actually see like Harrison Ford running in the background of Blink.
Apparently they kind of ran into each other a couple times, but this guy recalls that people on the parade route were laughing as Tommy Lee Jones chased Harrison Ford. It was kind of fun for the crowd.
Well, I mean, they were plastered by the time of the crew's shooting.
Oh, just absolutely wasted.
Yep.
Let's see. That's about that. Much of the film was rewritten throughout production and typically on the day each scene was supposed to shoot. According to Davis, which is one of the writers, I believe, he never met with credited writer David Twohy, whose main contribution was writing the train crash. Beyond that, Davis said he wasn't involved in anything we did. Jeb Stewart was there with us, basically responding to things we were coming up with. Oh, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. Basically responding to things we were coming up with all the time. Warner Brothers can't talk about this because of the Writers Guild, but Tommy Lee Jones, myself, Harrison Ford, and other people who were close to us, especially coming up with the whole plot about the pharmaceuticals, they were uncredited writers. It's crazy that this can evolve organically during the filming.
Oh, yeah.
Jane Lynch, who was cast as Dr. Kathy Walland in one of her first film roles, recalled having that experience with both Ford and herself working out new dialogue for their scene right before they filmed it, as Ford didn't like the scene as it was written. Boy, someone's big for his britches, but he was pretty famous.
Who?
Ford.
Kidding.
Given Ford's limited window of availability, Davis only had 10 weeks to edit, mix, and finish the film between the last day of shooting and the day it opened in theaters. That's quick.
Yeah.
To meet their schedule, they set up 7 editing suites at Warner Hollywood Studios and had a team of editors cutting around the clock as they each worked on different scenes. Each editor was recognized for their work on the film with an Academy Award nomination. James Howard, the composer of the ER theme song, composed the film's musical score, which Janet Maslin of the New York Times called hugely effective. As far as reception, Rotten Tomatoes, The Fugitive has a certified fresh 96% rating based on 81 reviews with an average of 8.1 out of 10. Not bad. The website's critics' consensus reads, exhilarating and intense. This high-impact chase thriller is a model of taut and efficient formula filmmaking, and it features Harrison Ford at his frantic best. That's like me in the bedroom. Frantic best. Okay. That was stupid. I can see you're a fan.
I visibly grimaced.
Okay, I couldn't. Your mic was blocking it.
Sorry.
The Fugitive was a critical and commercial success, spending 6 weeks as the #1 film in the U.S. and grossing nearly $370 million worldwide against a $44 million budget. Talk about a return on investment. It was the third highest grossing film of 1993 domestically, with an estimated 44 million tickets sold in the U.S. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Jones won for Best Supporting Actor. And all I have to say is, this movie is so good, it belongs in a museum.
And it one day may end up in the AFI.
And now my fried vocal cords need to go into the museum. Jesus.
And then also Jones returned as Gerard in the 1998 spinoff U.S. Marshals.
He did, which was an okay movie.
Yeah, it's not great. Rob Lowe's in that, isn't he? Cool. Anything else about The Fugitive?
It's a great movie.
It's a good
And in
movie.
fact, yes, we did watch this movie and talk about it.
Did we?
I watched it.
You watched it on a plane, and then you talked about it. But I don't think we watched it for a special.
I like the movie. I kind of want to watch it again now that I know all this stuff.
Let's do it. Let's make it or I mean, we don't have to make it content, but we can make it content. Except you just read all of the stuff about it. So
I like how the thing on the movie poster, it says a murdered wife, a one-armed man, an obsessed detective, even though he's not a detective.
Well,
the chase begins.
Oh yeah, he's a marshal. Well, that's it for this week's deep dive edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Join us next week for a variety show about 90s summer fun. Find us on Instagram and YouTube at Namely 90s with 90s and tell us what you want us to talk about on future deep dive episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/namely90s, also with 90s. Finally, you can contact us through our website, namely90s.com. Kind of. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, I Didn't Kill My Wife, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. And we'll catch you next time.
Check every outhouse, henhouse,
farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse, and doghouse. Warehouse, farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse.